Are you in a quilting rut? I have the perfect pattern to shake, shake, shake it off. So let's get started. Today we're going to be making the Layer Cake Shake quilt. It's part of our Easy Shortcut Quilt series. Layer cakes are 10-inch squares, and they're my personal favorite pre-cut because you can use them so many different ways. So the first thing you're going to do is go to fatquartershop.com and download the free Layer Cake Shake pattern. It has lap and queen options, and behind me, the quilt you see is the lap size. You need 28 10-inch squares, and I'm going to be using the Noah's Ark Layer Cake by Stacy Eastshoe for Moda Fabrics. The quilt has really big pieces, so it's great for novelty illustrated prints like this. It's also great for beginners. Now, in addition to your layer cake, for the lap, you need 1.5 yards of background, 5/8 yard of binding, and for the backing, you need 3 3/4 yards backing. Now you'll notice for this one, our background is a little bit busy and it's fishes going all different ways. We're not going to pay attention to the direction of that. We're just going to place those wherever they go, and it's going to give you a great movement. And again, this quilt is great for beginners because the blocks are really big and they finish at 24 inches, so you can make this and be done in a snap. Before we get started, I wanted to show you the block and talk about what we'll be doing. For the lap size, you're going to make 4 of these blocks and they finish at 24 inches. You're going to have 5 squares that are 8.5 inches square. Each block is going to have 4 half square triangles. And with this layer cake, there are lots of duplicates. So I have picked for each of the blocks squares that have 2 of the identical squares in the layer cake. But if your layer cake doesn't have identical, you can just use 2 different fabrics in this part. Your background is here and your print is here. And when we're making this, we're going to use the 15-inch Creative Grid seam guide because that's going to really come in handy when making the half square triangles. And when I sewed, I used Aurifil Color 2000 because the thread really blended in to my fabric. So let's start by making some half square triangles. So your first step in the pattern is to make 16 half square triangles. And like I said, each block uses 4, so each block will use 2 sets of these. You're going to take a background square and a fabric A square. You're going to put them right sides together. And when you put them right sides together, then you're going to take your 15-inch seam guide and you're going to draw a line in the center like we just did. Then you're going to draw a line on each side. And here, I'm not going to use pins at all because we are going to be trimming down, so I don't have to be 100% accurate. What you're going to do is you're going to sew on these 2 outer lines with your normal stitch length. And when you do that, it's going to look like this. Here are your stitches on the outside. Then the center line you're going to cut. And when you cut, this is how your unit looks. Now what I'm going to do is show you how to iron this and how to trim this down. So the first thing you're going to do is set your seam, press to one side, and just get that nice and flat. So now that you have your half square triangle made, what we're going to do is trim this down. The easiest thing to do is to get a 8.5-inch square ruler because then you don't have to think. What I'm using is the Creative Grid CGR 8 ruler, and I've put the diagonal line right on that seam, and I'm going to cut 2 sides, rotate, cut the other 2 sides. And what is great about this is this ruler is really helpful because you can trim all your half square triangles down and you can cut all your fabric B's with this. So when you start putting your units together, everything is exactly the same size because you cut it with the same ruler. Now we're going to assemble our block. Each block uses 5 8.5-inch unfinished squares. And then the most important part is going to be the placement of your half square triangles and the direction of the yellow and the white print. So what I like to do is just lay it down and then just look at each one. And then here, what you'll do is you'll put your fabrics right sides together, pin 3 times, stitch down this entire seam. Press according to the pattern. Then you're going to add the next 3. Press according to the pattern. Then you'll do your final 2 seams and press. And when you have your block sewn, this is how it will look, and it's 24 inches finished, and super easy, super fun, and like I said, such a great pattern for a baby shower or something that you need done in a jiff. The pantograph on this quilt is called Seafoam. The thread color is really light tan, so it blends into the background, and I love how this pantograph creates like the look of waves to go along with the theme of the fabrics with the fishes in the border. This quilt is so great to make for baby showers or something you need done really fast. Great for beginners, and babies will love it because of all of the nice novelty prints. And I hope you love the Layer Cake Shake, Shake, Shake It Off pattern. And join me every Friday for my live streams, and make sure to subscribe. See you then.